So in the previous class, we have seen the steps to perform the release procedure. Now we are going to see the execution. So first we'll create a purchase order. And we created four characteristics. And what are they? That is value of the PO, purchasing organization, purchasing group, and document type ZPO. Now properly we need to select all these characteristics. So here document type, you select your characters, your document type ZPO. Then enter the supplier. Then the purchasing organization should be the same purchasing organization, and the purchasing group, company code, material, quantity, net price, plan. Enter. Now click on check. The moment when you click on check button only, at the top of the header level, after status, you will get option release strategy. So click on check. Then you can see an option release strategy. The system displays release strategy option. And here we created S1 and S2, two strategies. But system is displaying S1 strategy. Why not the S2? Because the value is from $1 to $5,000. It is falling in this range. Suppose I will change the quantity here. Now click on check. Press enter. Now it displays S2 strategy. Now here status is release possible, but still it is not approved it. Suppose here you change the document type. For example, you select standard PO. You click on check. You can create a purchase order, but there is no approval process because it works only for the characteristic values what you have maintained in the background. So again, I'll select my document type in ZPO. Then click on check button. So again, it displays release strategy. Save the document. So the system displays the purchase order is created. The PO number is 17. Now we need to release the purchase order. Now there are two ways to release a purchase order. First one, individual release, ME28, the transaction code. Individual release of the purchase order. The transaction code is ME28. So first I will go to the transaction code ME28. Enter the release code, the code what you created. A1 and release group 22. Execute. Now you place the cursor on the line item and click on release plus save. So release order save. So it means A1 is approved. Now I will open another screen now. I will open another screen. I'll go to the transaction code ME23N, that is display PO. And here first click on other purchase order. Check whether the system displays your PO or some other PO. If it is some other PO, remove the PO number, enter your PO number, press enter. And here if you observe, you can see the status. Okay, it says it is approved. It is A1 is approved. Now automatically it went to B1. Now again go to ME28, enter B1, execute, release plus save. Again ME23N, click on other PO, just enter PO number, press enter. So B1 is approved. Now it went to C1. Again go to ME28, C1, execute, select the line item, click on release plus save. ME23N, press enter. C1 is approved. Now finally D1, switch block. Execute, place the cursor on the line item, click on release plus save. Then again if you refresh, all the people are approved. Finally it is release. So this is individual release of the purchase order one by one, one by one, one by one. Next, collective release. The transaction code is ME29N. The transaction code is ME29N. So first, again you create a purchase order. Click on check. So release strategy. Save. Order is created. Now go to the transaction code ME29N. So very rarely we'll use this collective transaction code. So one of the authorization person will get the approval to approve this purchase order using this transaction code. Click on other purchase order. If it displays some other PO number, so override with that, enter. Now in the header level you have option release strategy, and here click on the release options. A is approved, B is approved, C is approved, D is approved, and finally it is released. Save. That's it. So this is individual release of the purchase order. So like this, whatever the characteristic values you have maintained perfectly and properly, we need to maintain the same characteristic values. As a result, the system will display the release procedure in the purchase order. Then there are two ways to release a purchase order. One is individual release, ME28 is a transaction code. Another is collective release, ME29 is a transaction code. The next topic is external services management. Now what is this external services management? Purchasing means it's not only the purchasing of the materials and goods. It is also, service is also one type of purchasing. So purchasing means is not only the purchasing of the materials and goods. Even service is also one type of purchase. Normally what happens in the industries, we are going to use different types of machineries or equipments or service. Then what happens when you are keep on running of these equipments or machineries? They need to have regularly the maintenance for smooth running of the machineries and equipments. Now let us say I will take an example of a DG set, that is diesel generator. This is an equipment or a machinery. Whenever a company purchases a machinery or an equipment, the vendor, that is the company where it has purchased, they will give some catalog of that equipment, how it functionalities, how it is initialize the machine, what are the parameters we need to regularly check up it, what are the services regularly we need to perform it, and what services that are to be done by the company's employees itself, and what are the services that should be done by the service vendor itself. So like this, the catalog will contains the total in and out about the details of that equipment and machinery. So some services will be in such a way that it was done by the company's employees itself from the buyer side where they purchase that machine. And some services will be in such a way that it has to be done by the service vendors itself, even the company has purchased that equipment or machinery. Though it's your company's property also, but some services they have to be done by the service vendors from whom we have purchased that machinery. Now let us say for example, here I am taking diesel generator, the machinery. The function of this machinery equipment is generating the power, electricity. Under this machinery, we have some services. Let us say, as I told you, some are done by the company's employees, some are done by the service vendors. Now we got a problem in that machinery. It is, let us say for example, whenever you are running that machinery, when you just on that machine, let us say you are getting some sounds, terrible sounds and all, and your employees have been troubleshooted that, but they are unable to rectify the problem. Up to certain extent they are unable to. Then what will be the next step? We will make a call or we will send a mail, okay, or whatever it is, to the service vendor saying that, boss, so this is a problem we are facing it. We troubleshooted everything, but still we are unable to trace the what exactly the problem it is. And the service vendors also will interact with us. So you have done this, you have done this, you have done this service, this, that, this, etc. But even then, they are unable to. Then what happens? These service vendors will take an appointment from the company side so that it should not affect your production process. So they will take one day, one time, they will visit your plant or company. They will come physically for checking of the machinery. When they come physically for checking of the equipment or machinery, already we have informed that there are some problems. When they diagnose that machinery, they got a list of extra problems also, where we are not able to trace it. Now what these service vendors will do then? They will go through all the services, whether we are doing perfectly or not. Okay. Then so the service vendors will visit to the plant or company. They will diagnose the equipment or machineries, and finally they will get a conclusion that these are some sort of the problems where you are unable to run that machinery smoothly. Now what happens here? The service vendors will physically they will check it and find a they will resolve all the issues, and now the machine is running properly. Now here the company what they will do? They will do the payment to the supplier. So what are the net price we mentioned in the purchase order? That price is nothing but service charge we are going to pay to the vendor. Here we are not purchasing any material. Material is not coming to the company. Vendor came, he rectified it. For that we are doing the service charge to the vendor. Okay. So here we had the services and the purchase order, whatever the PO we create, we call as a service PO. Okay. So here there are some certain services normally in the industry. The categories like general services, hardware and software services, construction services, machinery services, and equipment services, preventive and breakdown services, annual maintenance services, etc. So preventive means where you can prevent the problems. For example, let us say, as I told you, I am taking an equipment called diesel generator, for example. See here guys, I am taking an equipment called diesel generator. Okay. Now here, under this equipment, let us say the first service, oil lubrication of the DG set, 100 hours. What does this mean? It means after 100 hours, after running this equipment or machinery, we need to perform a service. What is that service? Oil lubrication of the DG set. Whether the equipment is running properly or not, we need to do this service. Next, I have another service. Filters replacement of the DG set after 500 hours. So it means after running the equipment for 500 hours, we need to perform this service called filters replacement. There is another service, nozzles cleaning of the DG set after 1000 hours. So we need to perform this service. In the same way, turbocharger oil filling, crankshaft inspection, 5000 hours, etc., 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 etc. Okay. So like this, whenever we purchase any equipment or machineries, they will give a catalog. In that catalog, you will have the total, the description, the functionality and the usage of the machinery and equipment. Apart from that, they will list all the services sequentially where we need to perform these services, do or die. Whether they are working properly or not, the machineries, we need to perform these services. So in this case, the first 4 are done by the company employees itself from the buyer side. The last one, crankshaft inspection, it is not in our hands. It has to be done by the service vendor itself. There will be one document that is called log sheet. I can say it's as a service log sheet. It's a physical document. So in this document, you'll have all the information. So the name of the equipment, service, date, who is the service vendor, remarks, on which shift they have done it, etc. And they will mention the after how many hours they have done this service. So what will the next day? What will the next day date for the next service? So like this, you'll have a service log sheet. One will be at the buyer side, one will be at the supplier side. That is service vendor side. Okay. So here, this crankshaft inspection, okay, is done by the service vendor, and they will mention clearly also on the machinery itself what will be the next date they need to perform this service. So like this, some are done by the company itself, employees, and some are done by the service vendor itself. You'll have some terms and conditions and norms, we need to follow it before purchasing any equipment or machinery. So here, as the service is also one type of purchasing or one type of procurement, so that's the reason the SAP has involved a topic called services in our SAP MM. Okay. But normally there is another module called PM, plant maintenance. This module totally deals or talks about the in-depth of the machineries, maintenance orders, like how we create a purchase order, they will create a maintenance order, calibration of the devices and machineries. These are in-depth will be done through a module called plant maintenance. Just as service is also one type of purchasing, that's the reason the SAP has kept a service also one part of subject in our SAP MM. Otherwise, it's totally in depth. It will go to a module called plant maintenance. So here we are not buying any material, guys. We'll have the purchase order and we'll have the invoice for that purchase order, because we'll need to do the service charge for the vendor where he has rectified all these services. So this topic we call as a external services management. So here, so these are the steps to perform the services. So first we need to create all the service master records. Service master record means each and every activity or an operation or a service we perform it, that is treated as a service master. So here oil lubrication of the DG set is one service master. Filters replacement is one service master. Nozzle thing is one service master, like that. Then we need to create a service catalog or model service specification. Just now I told you what is this service catalog means, where it contains what type of services we need to perform for that equipment. See here, normally just now for a sample I have listed some 5 services, but in the real time for each and every machinery and equipment you'll have thousands and thousands and thousands of the services. So it is not so easy to remember all the services. So the other reason what we are going to do here is we will maintain all these services in one catalog. Even we can call this as a MSS. MSS means model service specification. So we create one catalog and we'll maintain all the services in the catalog. What are the service masters you have created in the first step. Then we create a service PR, that is PR means purchase requisition. This service PR is further converted to service PO, your same purchase order transaction code. With reference to service PO, I create a service entry sheet ML81N. So therefore here you don't have any goods receipt, directly it's payment. So we'll do invoice with reference to service entry sheet MIRO. So these are the steps to be performed for the services. Okay. So prior to this we need to do some configuration settings. So first we need to define the organization status for service categories. So organization service categories means, for example, let us say organization service category. So for example, I will take it as a machinery or equipment services. First we need to create a category. Then we will create service category. So here for example, DG set services. Just now I told you DG stands for diesel generator, where it generates power, electricity. Now, as I told you, there will be so many services involved. So therefore, we need to define the number ranges. For the created service category. After perform these background settings, we will execute the steps to perform services. So coming to the configuration settings, SPRO, IMG, MM, external services management, service master, define organizational status for service category. Click on new entries. So for example, I create as a SE00. It's just anything, guys. You can define whatever the service category you want to create. It's just an example I'm creating it. S-BD. BD stands for basic data status and MM stands for purchasing data status, that we can store in the service master record under the service category. And here description, machinery or equipment services. Machinery or equipment services. Next, define service category. Define service category. Click on new entries. For example, I create it as a SC01. It's just an example, guys. An Argus service category created SC00. And account category reference, even we can create our own account category reference. We have a separate chapter, but as of now we are following the SAP given standard account category reference for services is 0006. Description, DG set services. Description, DG set services. See. Next, define number ranges. In this step, we define the number ranges for the service master record under the service category. In this step, we define the number ranges for service master record under the service category. So define number ranges. Click on groups. In the menu bar, group insert. So give some description. Now, for example, I get DG set service maintenance. Number ranges as usual from number and to number. Let's say I'll check from 2000 so and so to 2020. From number to number. Press enter, save. So the group has been created here. You can see. Now double click on the service category what you created. Just I'll go back and come back. Now here just double click on the service category what you created. So here it is SC01 digits services. Double click on the service category, then select the group what you created. Select the group what you created and click on element group. And click on element group. Then what happens? Automatically the category service category will be assigned to this group. So what happens? Therefore, whenever you create a services with reference to this service category, the system automatically takes the number. From where it will take the number? To the group what you created, the number ranges. So if you want to see what are the number ranges you have defined for the group, you select this line item, this group tick mark, and if you click on this pen icon, that is change, you can see. So for this group, what are the intervals you have maintained. Save. Save the document. Okay. So these are the background settings we need to perform. After that, so these are the steps we need to perform. Steps to perform services. Like creation of service masters, then service catalog, service PR, service PO, service entry sheet with reference to service PO, then invoice with reference to service entry sheet. So these are background settings. Just now we have done it. Once you have done these settings, then we'll create all these services. Then these services are linked in the catalog. So thereby the remaining steps follows to perform the services. Okay. So this is also one of the important topic in the MM. Okay. So they'll ask you how you perform the services, what are everything. So here you don't have the GR and all because you are not receiving any materials and goods from the vendor. Just we are doing the service charge or service payment to the service vendor. So this is about the external services management. So tomorrow we see the execution part of the external services management, how to create a catalogs, the services, how we link these services in the catalog. Then after maintaining this service catalog, how will you maintain the service catalog in the service PR? How can you call the service catalog in the service PR? How you convert the service PR into PO? Then how you convert the service PO into service entry sheet? How you create an invoice with a service entry sheet? So these are all that we'll see in the tomorrow's class.